Hey there everyone, welcome to Property Banter. I'm Michael Ležaja and today we're going to be talking about buying Logan and surrounds in 2025. We've got a special guest by the name of Rob Tindall from Ray White Beenleigh joining us. We hope you enjoy. Welcome to this episode of Property Banter. We are joined by one of Logan's best agents and one of the most experienced agents that I've come across in my career, and we're going to be talking everything Logan today. So this agent is Rob Tindall. He's from Ray White in Mount Warren Park.
Mount Warren Park,
Beenleigh, from Ray White Beenleigh.
Bay, mate. We cross over everywhere.
But you're a specialist in Mount Warren Park.
That is correct, yeah.
100%. Yeah. And I also hear that you're benching 300 these days. Is that true?
Mate, if we're talking pounds, not kilos.
Mate, I don't know how many more weights you could stack onto that thing.
I wake up in the middle of the night sweating thinking about it. But
nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Lightweight, baby.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Fantastic. Yeah. So we want to get into what's happening in Logan. Mm-hmm. Okay. Logan has had a great run over the last 5 years.
Yeah, very much.
A solid run. I think it's averaged somewhere around 11% growth, roughly, year on year for
consistently,
right?
Yep.
But it had 10 years of pretty much no growth, 2010 to 2020.
It was pretty stagnant for a little while. If you want me to jump in there a little bit, yeah. So every suburb, and it's such a weird little space in particular when I talk about from the Beenleigh office where we do operate from. We've got a lot of little microclimates, I guess you would call it, within that space. So, anywhere from 2% to 5%. There's some suburbs that took a bit of a backward step, but then jumped back into the green again. Mate, it's been a slow burn for a lot of people, and then obviously COVID rolled around and gone bananas.
Changed the game. So looking at how the market has performed, Logan was one of those places where quite a lot of investors are active.
Yep.
And we've been buying Logan since, 2013, 2014. Mm-hmm. A lot of the investors looking for those high yields, lower entry price points in the 200Ks, right? So 200, right. 250, 300 for a house. Mm-hmm. You were buying those and they're renting for 320, 350.
Yeah.
And that's a no-brainer.
Good,
right?
Good positive.
Good cash flow.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Good cash flow. You can't go wrong. And then obviously there was a few people that didn't rate Logan or had those negative things to say. And I think, as an area, it is a lower socioeconomic area, and I'd liken it to, Blacktown, Mount Druitt, down in Sydney.
Yeah.
So it's got its, probably worse streets.
Yeah.
Your Defiance Roads, maybe I'm singling one out.
Yeah.
But there's so many great areas in Logan, and one that I've been buying for quite some time, even all the way back into the 2010s was Mount Warren Park.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Yeah,
so there is value there, and I think if you buy smartly, you can still get in well under 800,000.
Correct.
The data is looking quite good. We have a huge shortage of supply right now.
Especially just jumping in there within that particular suburb, Mount Warren Park. Yeah. Very low transactions every year. We probably see maybe 90 to 110 in a given year. So like from your point, looking supply and demand, probably one of the better suburbs to really focus in, and like you say, getting in under 8 as well. Yeah.
And I like the fact right on the highway.
Yeah, fantastic location.
Yep. So based on that, to get into Brisbane, and obviously we're on the outskirts of Brisbane, but it's still value for money. What are you seeing right now on the ground? Since we've had the election, we've had rate cuts.
Yep.
What are you seeing? What have been the changes in the market? Like who's buying? What are they looking for? What's the market sentiment?
Yeah, it's actually a really good question. I think the good thing with the suburb and what we've always had is a very strong force of first home buyer markets, investor markets, as you were speaking of before. Since COVID, since the start of the year, we've actually seen a little bit of a drop-off with the investors coming through the market, whether it be the price point changing a little bit. But this is the great thing, and I think a lot of investors are actually missing out, looking at the prices and what they have been doing. Last year, we had a 23% or 23.1% growth in Mount Warren Park alone. So for a lot of investors that for the last 12 months said, nah, it's just getting too much. Like I think there's a lot of cash being left on the table. Like you were saying before, you can still buy in 800,000. We've got a little 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom on the market at the moment, purchasing at 700. Great size blocks. I think it's like 625 square meter block, big pitch ceilings, lovely home. And for an investor coming in, you're getting really strong rental returns on them. And it's probably one thing with Mount Warren Park when you look at the rentals, because it's something like 80% owner occupied.
Yes.
You can fetch those higher rents, mate. So those yields are actually, they look for me. I'm biased. I live and own there. But I think, it's a great place to invest locality wise as well.
Yeah, 100%. And the reason, so we're not going back to talking about good and bad areas of Logan and so on. There are places where there's a significantly high renter to owner population.
Yep.
Mount Warren Park's kind of the opposite.
Correct.
Mount Warren Park essentially flips the script on a lot of those other suburbs where I think it is 80%, 78%, 80% owners.
Yep.
So, and it was originally back in the day, it was a place where a lot of people that were raising families, they bought their house and land package.
Yep.
It was in the 80s?
In the 80s, early 80s. Some funny stories around it actually, and like speaking, because it's an area where people have bought and held, and they've been there for 40 years.
Whole periods are high.
100%, yeah. But some of the stories around that, there was competitions where they were giving away a block on the radio, and you had to be there on the day, and you could get a block. Yeah. And then there was other circumstances where they were trying to clear a little section. You bought one block, you got the next door block free. So people were getting double blocks.
Really?
Back then, unknowing, I guess, on what they're actually being presented and what they're achieving out of that. There's some cool things that were happening back in the day. But, mate, to be a person on the ground back when they were doing a radio giveaway, that would have been good fun.
Let's
do that again.
No one's giving away anything for free these days.
No.
But yeah, I've noticed that a lot of the older fellas are moving out, retiring.
Yep.
But the renter to owner population still stays relatively low at 80%.
Correct, yeah.
So.
And I think it will always be that way in terms of what it's got to offer, schools close to the highway, the shopping centres, probably the golf club. There's a couple of good golf clubs in and around town. So it's always going to be and what it's always been is that next step on the property ladder for a lot of people. They might buy their first home, whether it's a townhouse, something in Eagleby, it's nice, it's cheap, it's entry level. Sell that, get something bigger, get the family into a more aspirational suburb, I guess. So.
100%. Now, across the highway, we've got Eagleby. Right, so touching on that, Eagleby has a lot more renters to owners. Tell me what's happening on the ground in Eagleby. Eagleby's always been the affordable suburb. I still remember this in the 90s when my dad was telling me, Eagleby was 40 to 60K back in the 90s. And he was like, buy there, it's so cheap. And cheap property always goes up. It doesn't matter if it's a good area, bad area. Property's always gone up. There's only one way, over the course of my career looking at property. So Eagleby right now is still the affordable part. Right, it's right on the highway.
Very much.
What are you seeing there now with activity?
Bro, it's got to be probably one of the most underestimated spaces I have seen since I've been in real estate. I started in 2016. You could buy a 3-bedder there for $260,000. We've got property on the market at the moment, and every single one of them is offers over 650, 680, hitting that threshold mark of the 700, as we were talking about before, the first home buyer market. So astronomical changes. The beautiful thing I think that's happening, and this is probably me being on the ground and understanding that movement in there, first home buyers coming through again. Do you know? So, from that crossover from being investor into first home buyer, for an investor, I think there's a lot of really good hidden gems in there.
There's good spots and bad spots, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Like anywhere. Yeah, for sure. Drive the streets. Understand. If you're working with you as your buyer's agent, make sure you're out in the field. Walk around, check it out, because there are actually beautiful little pockets that are probably more than the data actually shows that are home owner occupied, because the people have been there for a long time. But yeah, it's in my opinion one of those spaces, locality. If people haven't really sort of seen, it's halfway between Brisbane, Gold Coast. You're 2 minutes to the M1. But even when we're looking east-west, it's another 30 minutes to Ipswich and Ready Bay. So super central location. Shopping amenities are all nice and close. So I reckon watch that space. It's kind of one of those spaces I think that will is it called gentrification?
Yeah, gentrify.
Gentrify,
yeah, 100%. So, I mean, I see areas like that. I see areas like your Yarrabilba.
Yep.
I see areas that are super high, that have been high in investor activity.
Yep.
So, not as many owners occupying those suburbs.
Yep.
I see that shifting.
Big time.
Because when you have a look at Yarrabilba, we bought, Yarrabilba was somewhere you'd stay away from because it was at new hassle and packages, which we didn't
couldn't
buy.
sell them back in the day.
Couldn't sell them back in the day, and they were 340 grand or whatever they were.
Yeah.
And we'd stay away from that area.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, as everything else starts to move up, Yarrabilba jumped on our radar, and we started buying it 2022, 2023.
Yep. Not too long ago.
And all our clients are up 350K.
Yep.
Right? Now you look at the data set for Yarrabilba, and it's absolutely horrible if you're an investor.
Yeah, sure.
But it's still going to be attractive to owner occupiers.
Yep.
Now, what's going to happen? It's the same thing as what's happening in Eagleby. There's a changing of the guard, and people start to go, okay, well, there's a property supply shortage, and I can't afford to go buy something super expensive, but I can buy something for $750. First homeowners grant just released, or re-extended by the government now in Queensland.
Good news.
Until 2026. Yep. So that means anything under $750 that you buy, you get a $30,000 contribution to a new build, and you get obviously free stamp duty or whatever it is, right?
It's a big one. Yeah.
So that market under $750 is going to continue to stay strong.
Correct.
And it's going to become more of an owner occupier market.
Yeah.
That's what we're seeing in Yarrabilba, and we're going to see the same happen. You're seeing it happen in Eagleby as well.
Real time. Yeah, absolutely. It's not just Mount Warren Park. It's not just Eagleby. Our whole pocket is realistically doing it. Having such
affordability.
It's affordability and
affordability.
It's locality. Do you know? Like, I think a lot of people appreciating the fact that it doesn't matter where you're working, and probably hyping it up again a little bit, but having the ability just to be on that highway northeast, southwest, doesn't matter which way you go on. Like, people appreciate that.
Yep.
It's all time, man.
100%.
Travel. Spend it with the fam.
100%. Looking at Logan in general, Logan is a large council region.
Probably one of the biggest ones I think we've got around the space. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the most expensive on council rates.
Yeah.
Do what do people from South do when you tell them what council rates are? Do you hear them sort of?
Oh, you do get a little bit of flack on it. Every time, hey, your water's included.
Yeah. You got to. That's just such a much.
But look, it is probably one of the more expensive. We do a little bit of crossover, as I was saying, with Redland Bay. We've got the Redland Bay office over there as well. Their rates are probably on par, I think, with what we're doing on our space. But people from the Gold Coast, when they're calling up and they're going, oh my gosh, we're paying a portion of that. But it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm surprised that the Gold Coast hasn't caught on to that. That they can raise it. They're probably, I don't know why they're keeping it cheap. Cheaper. In terms of Logan right now, affordability is a key driver.
Yep.
And it's going to be, there's a lack of supply.
Yep.
We have a very low vacancy rate, which is driving rents up.
Yep.
When you look at it from a local living here, been here for a while, grown up here, been an agent since 2016. Where do you see value in Logan right now, let's say under the 800K price point?
Across the board, I'm going to be biased a little bit, only because I do like the access back to the M1. I think it's that corridor. So in terms of that, 100% Eagleby is going to be one of the ones that I'll definitely blow up. Not sure how your data sets match up with that, but I see it with the years growing astronomically, probably shifting back into more of central Logan as well. But then, we quickly spoke about, I think it's one of those little pockets, that's tucked away. Some people don't even know where Bethania is. They've never heard of it. But, you get huge blocks of land in there, again, built through the 80s, possible 90s, but great value for money, mate. There's some good bargains to be had out that way. Mount Warren Park, it's close to my heart. We're going to talk about it. But the whole thing, I guess, there, like we've got property on the market that we've seen sell. I think the highest sale at the moment sits at 1.5.
Yep.
To know that you can still buy in the market in there for a 3-better for 700K, that's just got that good versatility throughout there. But the higher owner percentages versus, what we were talking about, those investors before, makes a big difference. But Three hot tips. Is that what you're looking for? Is that the
I'm
question,
looking
mate?
for
Sorry,
them.
I'm
So
diverting.
let's go. Your top three.
All right, top
right
three.
now. Value for money, where you see opportunity.
Okay, start Eagleby. I'm
Eagleby.
going to throw Waterford in there.
Yep.
No, I'm not going to say Kingston right now. I'm not going to say
You know,
Kingston.
I don't like Kingston.
I know. That's why.
But like is an emotional.
No, yeah. It's definitely out there for me,
Yeah.
and I think it's just one of the things is having that. There's a lot of high set homes,
Yeah.
and the way that I'm looking at it from my point when I'm looking to invest is having high set home side access, granny flat opportunity.
Love that.
Do you know
Love that.
You've got a lot of that stock in there. Okay, let's rewind it. I'm going to go Beenleigh for that reason.
Going to go Beenleigh.
Yeah, 100%.
So Beenleigh. So going to go Eagleby, Waterford, Beenleigh.
Eagleby. Yeah.
Eagleby.
Yeah. Eagleby, Beenleigh, Waterford.
Done.
Yeah.
All right. I want to touch on the fact that you mentioned the high sets as a Queenslander.
Yep.
You go for Queensland in the Origin?
Of course.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Is that time to go? No.
Get out of here. No. Oh, look, I'm always advocating Queensland. I love Queensland, but it's still blue.
Bleed blue, bro.
Look, it is something that a lot of people from down south don't look at. They have the whole, I need a brick home.
Yep.
And they have the concrete slab on ground, one level, single level brick home idea of an investment property.
Yep.
When you come to Queensland, get rid of that.
Yeah, and look,
Get rid
I
of
guess
that. Go
it's
the
one of
high
those,
set. Go for the extra room downstairs.
For sure. Footprint
Yeah.
on the floor. We are predominantly 600 square meter plus. A lot of them are 607, for example. There's a lot of that. I don't know where the 07 come from, but someone thought it was a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
But the good thing is that footprint. And a lot of those properties with the building envelope, they were set towards the front of the block as well. So it does allow huge backyards. A lot of people do come to those high set homes and go, this feels bigger. The yard feels bigger, and it's not because it is any bigger. It is just because the footprint in which the house is built on just provides better space, man. So look, especially from an investment point of view, double down, bro.
Yeah,
You know,
I think
that's
so too.
Extra
I think
income,
so too.
man.
Because whether or not it's legal height downstairs, the person living there is still going to let the kids play downstairs for peace and quiet, or they're going to use that for extra storage, or
100%.
Whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, and look, I think that's probably something, if I can touch on very quickly, is I see a lot of people build in downstairs. 2.2 doesn't mean that we can classify them as extra bedrooms technically, but for
What are
the
we doing,
growing
rumpus?
family,
Yeah.
rumpus room, etc. But do you know what? Like the whole thing is, it's catering space for the family. When it comes to resale as well, and this is the beautiful part about it, our buyers that are coming through the area, they don't look at it just going, "Oh, that's a disadvantage. It's not 2.4." They're going, "Holy crap."
Yes.
Do you know what? I can actually chuck the teenage kids down here. Mum and dad are
Work
moving
office.
back in. 100%. Yeah. And so they're actually really good functional spaces that are underutilized. So yeah, people are spending more money for the 3-bed, 1-bath that's got 2-bed built in underneath. You know, and it's a weird crossover. It's not quite a 4-bed price, but it's definitely higher than the 3-bed price. So yeah, I love that. Love that
I
space.
love it. I think definitely that is something that a lot of people from down south really need to understand and adopt when investing. Is to look for those properties, not what's the word I'm looking for? Not remove them from the search process. You know?
Exactly. And I think it just comes back to the age old, brick and tile. Big bad wolf blowing down the house, bro. Do you know what I mean? They are built well. Majority of them. I've never had any structural issues with a high set home.
No.
I've had plenty of structural issues with low set brick and tile.
Yeah.
Ground movement. Definitely don't exclude it.
Yes, the old sinking.
Yeah, bro.
Needs underpinning.
Yeah.
Yes, I've dealt with that too.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. I am a big fan. You mentioned Waterford. Waterford does come up on our data set, so we'd like to go through Waterford.
Let's do it.
In real time. Have a look at this, right? Waterford, smack bang at the top, right?
Yeah.
Amazing growth. And a lot of this growth, as you can see, past 10 years, 120%, the last 5, the majority of the growth has happened in the last 5 years, right?
Yep.
Because that's post-COVID and so on. But we were due for this growth.
For sure.
Right? We had
For
10
sure.
years of nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing at all.
Yep.
Look, sitting there, 744,000, value for money, good affordability, ERSAT of 3, which is a lot better than a lot of Logan sitting at 1 and 2. Honestly, it is value for money. Baroni Heights, Hillcrest, Crestmead, There's Eagleby.
Yeah, she's in there.
Marsden, but is it Bethania's in there too?
Crestmead's a good little space as well, man. The beautiful thing that happened with Waterford, I was lucky enough when I first started in real estate, Waterford was one of the areas that tacked on to my core space very, very early. Back in the day when that was happening, like you said before, actually, a lot of invested stock was pushed through there, and it's kind of those new developments, investors jump on, and there's great tax depreciation schedules as a new build, etc. But from that space there, you get that 7-year itch where a lot of those investors started exiting the market. And from that's probably where you start to see it exactly in that last sort of 5 years as well. 10, 12 years old. So that's probably bang on the mark where a lot of those investors started selling out. Cash out, invest somewhere else. But that first home buyer movement, man, just started coming in going brick and tile, 3-bed, 1-bath, 3-bed, 2-bath, 4-bed, 2-bath. The whole kit and caboodle was there for people, and they were just, it's a great little space. And people were seeing value there. And mate, the data doesn't lie.
See, here's the thing. There's no such thing as a perfect data set, but you just try and minimize it as much as possible. Early on in my career, I was buying a lot of the Mount Druitt's, the Macquarie Fields, and the Logan, like the worst part of Logan. But now I'm partial to the areas that have higher own-occupier
the Mount Warren Parks
portion, the Mount Warren Parks, where I can get myself a good build where I can granny flat and things like that. And the odds are it's in a good cul-de-sac and the neighbours actually live there. It's not a rental. So you have a better neighbourhood. So I do look for that more so now, and I'm happy to pay that little bit extra for that. Kind of like how even if I'm going to leave Logan, I will look at Alexandra Hills, which is an amazing, which has a great data set right now.
I want to talk about
and you want to get into Redland Bay City Council. Alexandra Hills is amazing.
Cracking.
Like we just bought one for $810. Like $810.
I'm selling one for 1.31 right now. So that's the crazy bit about it.
That's $500,000 difference.
Tell me what'd you buy, or you don't want to talk about that
yet.
It's
a 650 square metre block, right? You can granny flat the side. Guys moving to the sunny coast. Little bit of a mess, right? So got to clean it up. So they're going to take all their rubbish out. Right. So we do need a coat of paint. It's got a second bathroom downstairs. Downstairs is half built out. We can finish it off. Give it a new Bunnings flat pack. Paint.
Freshen her up.
Mate, it's good to go.
And that gap between where you say buy that entry level, buy something that needs work, because you can grow the capital into the property by a very inexpensive reno. Whereas what we've done 1,100 square metre block. Don't get me wrong, side access, fully done, immaculate. But at 1.31.
It's $500,000 difference. So as investors, I'd be looking to not spend that $500,000. And
correct.
Just really not buy, for that extra. Well, pretty much a lot of Logan is now going for closer to $800,000, $750 to $800, and I'm buying $810, and I'm in Redland Bay City Council. I am in, granted, Alexandra Hills in Redland Bay City Council isn't the premium area of Redland Bay City Council, but it's a good area. It's a solid area.
One of the big things that I've picked up from that space and sort of selling over there at the moment, we're seeing a lot of that closer to the city. A lot of people that are working into the city, they want that bay escape. And it is closer to the water, and they're enjoying that. Alex Hills, it actually, for a long time, I had mates that lived over there back when I was in school, and I remember driving over there. I'm like, holy crap! Like, this is so far away. But you know what? It's not. And this has been the big thing, and I think the transformation of everybody's lives recently is just accessibility to everyone and everywhere. The world's become so much smaller. And if you're looking for affordable and you're looking for great areas that are up and coming, Alex Hills is.
Bay Area.
100%.
It's Bay Area. It's 5 minutes to, you got Wellington Point, you're 5 minutes to the Bay Area. If you've ever watched the sunset, and this is the romantic in me, but if you ever watch the sunset from Wellington Point,
I'm an early riser, I'll head for the sunrise.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Before we hit that 300 kilo bench press.
There you go. Can we have some B-roll as well of Rob hitting the bench press as well?
No, don't do that.
But the value for money's there. And I love being near the Bay Area. I'm more partial to the Bay Area in Brisbane than I am to being on the Brisbane River. That's the Sydney sider in me now. I'm not a big fan of buying an expensive flood area to be near the river, whereas I kind of like the Bay Area. I love Manly Wynnum. I love the walk there. I love, Birkdale, Wellington Point.
But stretched right down all the way through.
It's nice.
Victoria Point, again, and this is coming out of Logan, if I was given money, I'm
Yep.
taking money there. It's an older population.
How much you need, mate? How much you
Yeah,
need?
here we go. Pull out the wallet, big boy. But a lot of 422 stock,
Yeah.
nice flat level ground. You're literally 3 to 5 minutes to the bay at Thompson's
Yep.
Beach, out on the point,
Yep.
jump on a barge, get over to Stratty.
Yes.
Mate, if you're a boatie,
Yes.
it's perfect. It's a bloody
It is
lovely space.
beautiful. Boating, fishing, it's just a beautiful spot.
It
It's a
is.
beautiful part.
Yeah,
and
it is.
it's undervalued. It's
Yeah.
kind of like everyone skipped that section. They're
Right.
either on the Gold Coast or
Yeah.
they're living near the river in Brizzy,
Yeah.
but that's not heavily populated.
No, it's
Yet it's a
not.
nice, it's a nice part. I don't know how to describe it. I was going to say upper middle class Australia, like in terms of Brisbane.
Well,
I don't know. It's
no,
not,
yeah.
It's just great Brisbane.
Yeah. You talk about Manly and you talk about those spaces there, you're probably talking,
It's
a little bit more
gentrified
money.
heaps. Manly's gentrified
Big time. There's another gentleman that I know a lot through sort of Raby Bay. And I always look, when I look at data, for me, when I'm looking at property, what's the neighbouring suburbs that are absolutely performing really well?
Yeah.
And let's just go close suburbs just outside. And what's nowhere near it, Eagleby, Mount Warren Park, perfect example of that Logan space. But up there, Victoria Point, you're only 10 minutes up to Cleveland, Raby Bay, etc. And the difference in price is astronomical.
Yeah.
You know,
There's a lot of money out there, though.
Bro, look, for
it's
a lot
still
of people,
affordable.
It is, and that's what I was going to say. For a lot of people, it's still affordable. There's going to be pockets out there. Look, if you're waterfront, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
bro, if
you're going to pay everywhere.
you bring
Doesn't
it
matter
back
where you
to
are in
that.
Australia.
Yeah,
You will
correct,
pay for waterfront.
correct.
It's regardless.
But you brought something up actually around that waterfront, and when we look up and down the corridor, Jacob's Well, Calypso Bay. Like I know we haven't really spoken about that. And I
Jacob's
don't
Well,
often speak
okay.
about it.
No, we're diverting now. We're
Yeah,
going
big time, big
down
time.
Gold Coast, right? Jacob's
Yeah.
Well. So Jacob's Well is such a quiet little spot. I just know, from what I can remember, last time I've been there, I think it was just that there was a pub, a caravan park, and a boat ramp.
It's still the same. I'm sure.
And then there's a new pub.
Sorry if you're out that way.
I'm just naming pubs basically.
Yeah.
But then there was a new hotel built where those canal homes were.
Yep.
All
through
has it
Calypso
changed a
Bay.
lot lately?
Mate, yeah, look, to be fair and to be honest, I don't do a lot out there. Obviously, as a youngster going out there, hiring little tinnies and being
Yeah.
a tinny rat jumping around
Yeah.
the canals. But much like that, Calypso Bay is that little sort of hidden part of the world. I think they have their own pocket and they want to stay in their pocket and they don't want people coming in down that way. But gosh damn, if you don't have 2 mil, 2.5, forget it. But it is that boaty life, like not boat, yacht life. That's the expensive stuff. But I do digress a little bit back from where we were in the Redlands. But it's, again, just another space where, as a total space of what, and I talk about Logan, all of those places are so accessible for us. And it's just one of those places that, again, that people don't understand. It's on our it's on our doorstep.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the Gold Coast. 15 minutes and you're on the water.
Yep.
100%. It's cool space to really understand once you're here.
Yeah. Okay. Before I talk about your strategy and why you've said what you said, do you believe that auctions right now are a very efficient or the best way of selling a property in Logan right now?
Oh, Mary, that is a hard question to answer.
Too many variables because each property is different?
And every seller's comfortability is different.
Yes.
I love it for my
Because
sellers.
there's agents that take all their properties to auction.
100%.
That's just what they do.
100%.
That's the strategy. It doesn't
Yeah.
care about what the seller wants or whatever it is. It's that strategy
I know
for that.
I know agents that will walk away from a listing because it's not an auction.
Yeah.
It's just
Really?
what they do. 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I love it because I know for my seller, and we're very different to what we do. My best interest is my seller. Your best interest is your buyer. My best interest for my seller is to obtain an unconditional contract. So if we can walk our buyers through that process for 3 weeks, understand the building and pest, make sure the finances are all lined up, come on the day, give it a good crack, man. And if you buy it, congratulations, you've bought your home. It's unconditional. It's putting the horse before the cart as well. You don't go under contract and then need to do a building and pest and go, oh, crap, ABC is wrong with the home. I now need to negotiate this. At least you know what you're buying to start with. So in terms of that, I think there's more transparency. And I think for me, my sellers is actually taking someone to contract, getting it sold, and not having contracts crash over building and pest, over finance, etc. So,
That's super important. But what I want to highlight is you're here telling me as an agent, you would look to go right now and find an auction
to buy.
or you'd go to someone's auction whatever day they have it in-house or whatever, and you'd literally just assess all the deals and you'd look for a bargain for yourself as a property investor and you believe you'd get one now at auction?
Yeah. The other great thing about it, Brisbane right now, I think we sit at around about a 60 to 65% clearance. It could be dropping closer to 55, to be fair. If you're there at those auctions, those deals are normally done if they are passed in. Because when you think about it, 5 out of 10 aren't selling under the hammer. So 5 out of 10 are there available on the day. Those sellers want to do a deal and they want to do it quick. So if you're there and just going, bro, here's my offer, here's my conditions, you're there before
Take it.
They go right through to the private treaty open home next weekend.
Yeah.
So just a couple of different strategies.
So that's interesting because I'm the buyer's agent who's like, no, I don't go to auctions. And you and you won't see me at an auction. And I keep saying
I'm debunking you, bro.
One day, someone's going to see me at an auction and go, hey, what are you doing here?
Bro.
And I won't have an answer for it, you know.
No. But do you know what? I don't think there is a right way and there is a wrong way.
No, a deal's a deal.
100%.
And if it suits your strategy, that's fine. But the way I work as a buyer's agent is I get my deals done during the week. So I can call someone, get an off-market deal, get under market value, whatever it may be. My deals get done like that. And they're effortless.
That's right.
That means I don't have to get in my car. I don't have to go and go to an auction and sit there for 2 hours.
And a lot of the time you're probably not battling with 5, 6 other people as well.
No, it's like
that's why people need to pay you. And that's why people pay you to do that job is because you're going to sniff out those deals. You're going to have the relationships with the agents in the area that will approach you. Hey, I've got a client, and this is probably really important. I've got a client that doesn't want to pay marketing right now. They don't want to pay $2,000 for
that's music to my ears.
Yeah.
I love that.
So, hey, what's off market, bro?
Yep.
What have you got that's sitting in the pipeline that aren't hitting those online portals? They're the deals to grab, you know. And as
it's
a buyer,
funny, the person that the vendor that doesn't see that marketing. And by the way, if you're a vendor, pay for your marketing. And agents will love me saying this, but it's so true.
No, 100%.
Pay for the marketing that your agents telling you to pay for, because that's what's going to get you top
the
dollar.
$3,000 to $4,000 investment, and that's all it is. Like realestate.com takes up half of that. You know, I'll blow them up here a little bit. No, I won't. Please don't shoot me.
Let's not start on them.
No. Okay,
we'll leave it.
No, but look, it's an investment in your property. It's an investment in the end result, and by doing that, a lot of the time you will see that you will have more buyers, you will have more offers. Ultimately, they're maximizing your sale price, and that's what we're here to do. You know.
100%. But I look for that. I look for when they don't have vendor paid advertising. Okay. And I look for, let's say the house is just a mess and whatever. They've got a lot of clutter, they're hoarders, they're this, they're that, and that's not going to photograph well for realestate.com anyway.
No.
That is ideal because it's not sellable to the majority of owner occupiers.
Correct.
I'm an investor. I look at it purely from the numbers perspective. It's not going to realestate.com. They're limited on the amount of offers they're going to get on the property, and then they're going to get our lower one. And ideally, our client's going to win.
100%. And I love that you brought that up because we're doing a deal together. I don't know if we can talk about that.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sure.
Let's go.
So obviously, there's one that we're doing. It's a great home. Structurally, I can't fault it. I'm not a building and pest inspector, don't get me wrong. But there's a little bit of stuff. People have stuff, you know, for a lot of people that are coming through, they want to move into the property. We've got longer term tenants there, you know, so some people are going, there's too much stuff, I can't see past that. Or, hey, the lease is there, but for the deal that we're doing right now is exactly that. Find something that no one else wants. If the house is structurally great, bro, it's a deal to be had.
It's about numbers. The tenant's a bit messy, and that's okay. That's what they are. I'm not going to look too much into that. No. I think a lot of people will though, and that's what it's based on, right?
The way I look at it is it stops people putting holes in walls because they've got crap everywhere, right? It stops little Johnny running up and down the hallway with his car, his Matchbox car, you know, destroying the paintwork. Do you know, it's people's stuff at the end of the day. It's not damaging the property. It's a
100%.
Random
100%.
conversation there.
No, it is. But it's good that you're highlighting that you think it's not a bad idea to have a look at auctions and find that deal. So if you are an investor and you're not paying for a buyer's agent, maybe have a look into that.
Check it out.
I'm obviously still not partial to them.
Do you know what I am?
Everyone's got their own strategy and where they're at in their career. Correct. To me, that doesn't really work because
that's the thing. Your strategy, what you do, works really well for your clients.
It's awesome.
Do you know, and that's why you know, forever and a day, there will always be that position for you because there are people out there that need you. They need that support. They need. I've got clients at the moment that we have referred to you. The confidence in executing sometimes for a buyer can be overwhelming when you're walking through and you're seeing all these people. Put someone on the ground who knows what they're doing, that knows how to converse, that knows how to negotiate. As a buyer, bro, we get paid to sell, you know, because we know how to sell. You get paid to buy. because you know how to buy. Like, it just makes sense.
It does, my friend. It does. So let's finish up on wrap it up on Logan and how do you see the market performing?
We've got growth.
Yep.
Long story short, last year was our hardest year in terms of interest rate rises.
Yes.
So we all thought there was going to be a big plateau, if I could call that. I thought there was going to be a stagnant portion of last year. We had some amazing growth. I was saying Mount Warren Park was 21.3%, something around that point. Where I see it growing is the trajectory for I can't see a suburb in our local area that's going to take a backward step. Moving forward, leading into the Olympics, there's a lot of exciting things happening in Brisbane right now.
A lot of infrastructure.
A lot of infrastructure, a lot of growth. There's some big developments running through Bar Scrub still. You know, we are trying to cater for that 431,000 people that are going to be here by the Olympics. You know, so it's an exciting space. Biased again, as I say all the time, but locality, bro. Like, I don't know if people sort of know too much about the southern areas. I've had someone refer to us as the old Parramatta. I don't know if you've got any insights on that, but I know we're going off tangent. But Parramatta back in the day was punchy. You know, no one wanted to be there in Parramatta, and then it skyrocketed because of its proximity back towards the city. So long story short, trying to wrap that up for you, Logan has got a lot left to give. It's space, it's locality, it's affordability. And buyers, the demographics are changing so much. We're catering for a first home buyer market as well.
100%, and that's changed a lot. So I agree with you. I'm also seeing areas that we were buying like Slacks Creek, smack bang on the highway, super affordable in the 200s, and we knew that their proximity to the city would be super popular, and they are popular. They're super popular now with the ethnic community, jumping in, buying houses, renovating them, living there. It's all changed, and it's not the old, like what the old Western Sydney was, right? It's changed, and it's the same things happening here. Look, I think Logan's going to continue. And you've mentioned 430,000 short. I've done that other podcast talking about the shortage of dwellings coming to market. These people need to live somewhere. We have obviously a very low vacancy rate, below 1%. Mount Warren Park sitting at, I think, 0.7% vacancy rate right now. Right? And rents are moving because of that. So you're going to constantly see rents increase, but yet we're seeing the cost of a mortgage decrease now with rate cuts already here and more on the horizon. So the holding cost, and actually I want to touch on this for anyone considering investing in Logan. I want to talk about the fact that affordability, the game for affordability, I believe is changing with the destruction of the middle class in Australia through inflation. I think, looking at historical numbers when analysing where we see the future going shouldn't be the be-all and end-all, right? So when we look at Logan, for example, from an investor perspective, I can buy a $750,000 property and the rent versus if I bought a $550,000 property, let's say in a Melbourne suburb, let's use Werribee for an example. If you bought a Werribee property and you get your $400 rent, it's $10 different on a cash flow spreadsheet. Right? So as an investor, I promise you I will be holding Brisbane over Melbourne. In that section of Melbourne. All day, every day, Logan. So I also feel that affordability is going to change. It's going to continue. Property is going to continue getting more and more expensive, especially with the shortage of supply, the shortage of approvals coming or not coming. And the overall Queensland over the last 10 years being the most migrated to state. Now, obviously, that is going to slow down a touch after post-COVID, because COVID was literally just an influx overnight. Now it's going to be a little bit more steady, but it's going to continue. So I'm obviously very bullish, and as predicted in the other podcast, $800,000 houses in Logan, I believe to be 1.3, 1.4 around the time of the Olympic Games. And I stand by that. And that's why I put it on here. I put it on camera. I put it on YouTube. It's there. Mate,
and do you know what? And like you say, you work with data. You work with facts and looking at those trajectories and what is to come. And I wholeheartedly agree with that statement.
It's hard to believe. Here's the problem. It's super hard to believe because it's like, man, I can't I can't see it happening. Just because you can't see it happening doesn't mean it won't. I promise you now, you go talk to one of the old boys and say to them, back in the 80s, you know what? It's going to be $800K for a house in Eagleby at some stage.
Yeah.
They would tell you no.
Yeah.
They wouldn't believe it because they're 20 grand.
Correct.
Right?
And I'm going to use my old man, sorry,
Go
as an example here.
Shout out to the old man.
2 Robert Stanley Drive, Mount Warren Park is where he bought in the very early 90s. Moved the family there, backed onto the golf course. Lovely space, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, $126,000, if I recall, is what he paid for that. That's not that long ago.
Yeah.
You know, well, I feel like it's not that long ago.
No, it's
but
not.
The 90s. But said property now, like if you're not bringing... We've just sold one for $845 grand, and that was fully renoed. That backed onto the golf course. So, you know, that's huge upswing. Talking to my dad about that now, I wish.
Yeah.
He says, I wish I never sold it. It's hindsight.
Yeah.
But that exact statement is people will always go, that won't happen. It is, and it is happening fast.
Yeah.
You know, where we've had more $1 million transactions in our suburb of Mount Warren Park than ever. And every year that grows and grows and grows. So then this is the whole thing, like coming in behind that, you can still buy entry level, 7 to 750. Why? It just makes sense, man. Go where the trend's going.
100%. I'm going to leave the podcast with 3 suburbs, another 3.
Yeah, okay.
Which we've half discussed, but I'm going to throw in an extra one.
Yep.
So Alexandra Hills,
Yes.
I absolutely love, which isn't Logan City Council, but check it out on the data set. It is amazing. Waterford on the data set.
Yep.
Great data set as well. Another one that comes up on the data set is Forest Lake.
Okay.
Forest Lake's kind of on the data set.
Yeah.
Really good URSAD score of 6.
Right.
Numbers match up. Have a look at Forest Lake as well. But I just wanted to throw that in there because I know everyone loves a hot tip. You know,
And do you know what? Like growing up, I'm a butcher by trade, right? I worked out at Wakehole at a boning plant for a long time. Coming into that story, Inala. We had to go through Inala. We used to stop at the Inala pub for beers at lunch.
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't say that because we were working. But anyway, Inala, bro, Stab City. No one wanted to be near Inala.
It was bad.
But looking at Forest Lake, you know, that's neighbouring suburbs. So that actually, you know, close to the city. It's facts and it's happening, you know. So Forest Lake, like I didn't know that one.
It's all changing.
Yeah.
But Mr. Robster, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for the invite. Anytime I want to come back.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
I was just going to give a shout out. So Rob Tindall is at Ray White Beenleigh. If you have any questions about the area, I'm sure he'd be willing and happy to take your call. Super good guy to work with. I don't want to say too many nice things in front of him.
Yeah, but I love praise.
But we thank him for coming to Property Banter today. Thank you all so much. I hope you got a lot out of today's episode. Please like, share, subscribe. We appreciate you watching. And until next time, take care.